Got to do the
Yeah,
work to learn it, right? You can't watch surgery all day
yeah.
long. You can't watch push-ups. You need to do push-ups if you really want to see results, right?
When I had a look at your content, something that I found really interesting. You just create your content super organically and super authentic.
I've had a tough time in residency getting made fun of and stuff. Because in healthcare, it's very traditional. People don't believe in social media. Social media networks are connections. It's networking. If you help people, you give, you do get in your return. I think by this point, I've been doing it for a few years now. I've had some good returns. You look around and a lot of doctors, dentists are not happy. I think the key to it is the YouTube channel. Guys, we got to keep this going. Through these external outlets, together, we can educate and talk about options.
Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Dental Dialogue. Now we have a very special guest with us today. We have Dr. Gallagher, who's coming out of, boasting out of Manhattan. Now he is an oral and maxillofacial surgeon resident. You are still a resident, right? I'm right in
Last
saying
year,
that.
final year.
Fantastic. Well, he's almost finished. He's also all over YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Has a podcast and also has a top professional, which is awesome. Something that we'll probably get into and have a chat a bit about. But yeah, I want to give you a warm welcome and thank you very much for joining us today. How you doing?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm doing great. Oh, I just got out maybe an hour ago of I had to take out with the orthodontist or an orthodontist clinic on Thursday afternoon. I had to get out these two premolars on the upper side. And was the two roots, the first premolar. And I was getting up there and just a simple, like nice, kind girl, everything. And I get these out. And they ended up having the longest, thinnest roots, and they both snapped off on both sides.
Nah.
And now a simple 3-minute extraction turns into 45 minutes fishing out these roots.
Yeah.
Oh my, the upside down ones. And it just happened to be one of those days. I had literally 2 appointments in the afternoon. And so, it's one of those days, one of those little
Yeah, where it takes longer than expected.
Yeah.
little surprises. How are you guys doing? How's your day?
Was good. Currently, we are traveling a bit. I mean, we are
Yeah.
currently in Europe, and yeah, I was just in a dental clinic in Naples, in Italy, and yeah, was visiting of my friends I was going to university with, and had the pleasure to just get to know the clinic, to record some videos there to help them a bit out with what they are planning on doing. It's like a clinic with like 3 brothers, the dad, the whole family working there, and it was actually a great time, especially in Italy with the food. Hospitality here is amazing.
Very
And
nice.
that's about it for today. Yeah.
And now,
Yeah, mine
Joshua,
wasn't as eventful.
why not? Why not?
What was the question that you're going to ask? I'm more intrigued as to.
Oh no, I was going to say you just graduated in July, right? Congrats on graduation.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
so
much. I
much.
think this is the same with David as well. So
Yeah.
we both have
too,
just
David?
graduated. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Well, congrats,
Yeah.
guys. That's great. So now you just started off into the next phase. You guys know this. There's so much education, so many checkpoints, one after another after another, and you guys just passed a big one. So I want to make sure I pointed that out.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, thank you.
Appreciate
Well,
it.
you'll be on your way like after this year to pass another huge milestone. Where are
Yeah.
you at in terms of? I know you've got a lot going on, so we're going to chat a little bit about like kind of the social media work that you've got as well. But
Sure.
how excited are you for like finishing up with everything?
I'm very excited. I mean, it's a long, drawn out process of this healthcare educational system, and there's medical school, dental school, veterinarian, law school. They just keep giving more and more, and now it's like they want you to do a fellowship. They want you to do. I'm not so
Yeah.
sure that more and more training is it. Like, what happened? Just clinical work back in. But yeah. So I'm very excited. About 9 months left of residency, and then I already signed in July with the practice I'll be working at. So I got a 2-year contract. I'm ready to go there. My goal is to bring a lot to the table between marketing, between hopefully learning the practice development with the practice owner. And my goal is to be a partner in his practice one day. He's got a multi-practice, got 6 offices, and so I'm excited to prove myself. I'm ready to hit the ground running. Let's get some work in. Let's make some money finally. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the number one thing on everybody's mind is where's the moolah at? Like how do I get my hands on that?
Yeah, 30 years old. It's like our lives are almost we got to start getting
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Is
I mean,
that something the way you said that, it seems like that's something that you think that has changed over time, like the elongation of the education process for many medical professionals. Is that
Yeah.
something that you're like okay with, or it's seeming like you're on the other side of thinking that it's not
Well,
advantageous?
if you look at the birth rates throughout, so educational systems, it seems like becomes a point where there's a lot of money going into the system, but there's very little reimbursement into the people teaching the faculty members, attendings, the actual students. The students are paying so much money. These schools are getting endowments, but very little is actually getting reinvested into the people doing the work, into the students. And you see, like, I was just talking about it. I did a little quick podcast, 3.5 minutes, whatever, today, and I was talking about how you have to look at these things. These schooling systems get longer and longer and longer. But is the clinical experience getting
Hmm.
more and more and more? No, it's like they're adding on didactic. You can have one PowerPoint that this teacher hasn't changed in 5 years. Give the same exact test, and they're putting more students into the classroom teaching the same lecture over and over. Are these students actually learning how to take out a tooth, how to treat people for high blood pressure, whatever it may be? I think the clinical experience is missing out, and they keep pushing on to residency. Now they're pushing on to fellowship, and now they're pushing on to the dual fellow. It's like, guys, we got to get to work here. And to prove my point,
Mm.
the birth rate is getting lower and lower and lower because the educational system, just one example of how you're finally getting out. It used to be back in the day, 30 years old, you're out and working as a doctor. This is 100 years ago. Then there's residency to get your experience. Now you're pushing it back to 30 to 35, and now fellowship. We're looking at between 33 and 37 years old. Now you're actually finally getting out of medical school, for example, after your fellowship training, your surgical residency, whatever it may be, and you haven't had a kid yet. Now you're just starting to create some money. Now the money within the educational system, you have so many loans to pay back, and then you're thinking about a house. What about the family? The birth rates have dropped to record time lows in over how many years? I don't know the numbers, but yeah, the birth rates are very low. Um, so just the data is showing that it's not working. So I don't know. Just my
yeah,
thoughts.
maybe they think too economically. So maybe they try to just because we had kind of a similar experience, I would say, in medical school, like for me, dental school, where the university would change their structure more in their own favor instead of just improving everything regarding the most important people, and that is in the end your client. And if you do a good job on that end, everything else will just follow. And I think
Yeah,
exactly the same.
and on that point, in the United States, we go from high school into college, and then
Yeah.
into medical school or dental school, and then into residency. This college thing, I understand the importance of it. I do. But why are we learning organic chemistry? What the weed out, we're filtering out student. Let's just cut all that down. Let's put more into high school, right? People are getting out at
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's increase high school a little bit. Give them more sports. Give them more musical instrument. Let's start to give them more. Whatever we got to do, get them into medical school earlier. If and we have this remote learning tool. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant right here. We have
Yes.
remote learning. This educational system, at least in the United States, this is built off of stuff in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. We can learn on the computers now. Let's turn the traditional sitting in a class looking at a chalkboard. Let's make it into video games. People don't complain about playing video games. These kids are ready to go all night long, right? But
Yeah.
sitting in a classroom, the attention span, reading off a chalkboard, we have technology now to make it remote, to make it faster, and to make it more give students something to pay attention to that they want to, right? We could
Mm.
get this into a much faster pace. And I think the biggest thing is we might find that the kid might be in the middle of China or India or somewhere remote that has the best hand skills in the world. That person can now become a neurosurgeon at a much earlier age. Start treating patients that need that care, that hand skill, that mental capacity. I don't know. I think if we start to utilize technology a little bit more rather than demonizing it, just like we demonize credit cards, just like we demonize cell phones. Oh, the pager's good. The cell phone brought us places, and now we have artificial intelligence. We can go places if we stop demonizing it and take a step forward. So I don't know. That's my little rant right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for us it was kind of the same. Also, especially from the point of view where we actually, I don't know, we just got into it by luck that we just started kind of an entrepreneurial journey while we had been to medical school. And I would be interested how that was for you. First of all, how you transitioned into it, because I think the people that do that are mainly the ones that think like you, and I would say, think the same way, that um, yeah, kind of you just learn. You don't do as much clinical work as you should do, because most of the experience or the skill that people learn in our field is I think by just doing what they are learning.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah,
How many lectures can you look at? You got to do the
yeah,
work to learn it, right? You can't watch surgery all day
Yeah.
long. You can't watch push-ups. You need to do push-ups if you really want to see results, right? It's the same thing with
yeah.
surgery. It's the same thing. It's that the proof's in the pudding. What entrepreneurship, what entrepreneurial endeavors have you guys been working on in addition to the podcast? So you guys graduated at the same time together, same
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
school?
same university. That's how we met. And the thing is, when we were in med school in Europe, the problem is that you can't get a place, even though, like, of course, private universities, but you don't get funding because it's not a common thing. Like, I'm from Germany. Their university is free. It doesn't matter what you study, but in return, they only look at the grades and you can't get in. And people are waiting for 8 to 10 years to actually start. So I know people who are 40 who just start medical school now. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Just to butt in, my father started medical school when he was 45.
yeah,
I'm from the UK, so
Started
I
at
mean,
45.
he
yeah,
started it. He finished like in 2016, 2017.
yeah,
So that's one thing we see when you make things free and more readily available, then the waiting list, like the the waiting line to get in. We're seeing that in New York. They're saying if they make housing free, then the everything gets filled up quickly and it's great for
yeah,
them. But then the years to come, there's a long list, there's a line.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so
yeah,
yeah, is making everything free the answer? I mean, it should be. You're going to be going into a profession where you treat people, but then you have the next generation of people trying to get into medical school, dental school, whatever it may be, and they're waiting 45 years old.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That is kind of a big problem, and I think they try to change that. But what we did, we just went abroad, and after some time, we realized that it's kind of like a loophole. So to just go abroad, you pay, but it's not even comparable. For the whole studies, we paid like 40 grand. That's it for the
That's
whole.
not bad.
Yeah, compared to
Yeah.
the US. And what we did was basically we just showed people on YouTube, just by traveling the country, showing the lifestyle over there, and just help people to get into medical school there as well. And then kind of we did that next to school, and yeah, we went on now to just afterwards drop the YouTube. We had like, I don't know, in total 25 million views, and actually help dentists to, yeah, just educate people online, to promote their services. Because what we always say, we have responsibility as doctors to be able to convince people, to persuade them of the treatment when it's for their health. And yeah, I think that's what we are currently doing.
Yeah, excellent. So it's medical school, but you guys are in dentistry. Is that
I'm in dentistry.
So I'm the MD. I'm the
right? I know. I
outlier.
saw that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But David, so you're in dentistry. And Josue, tell me, what are you going into a specialty? What's your future looking like?
Yeah, so it's for now it's taking a year out, just so that we can focus a little bit on this endeavor that we have right now in terms of helping. It's essentially to package it all. It's helping dentists to get more patients, and that's through many different roles: organic marketing, paid marketing, different kind of avenues, helping them to become more of a complete clinic nowadays, especially inside the digital era that we're in, where there's a lot of competition, and you
Mm,
kind of got to
mm.
be out there. So I'm focusing on that for the next year. But I think for once we go into next year, I'm looking at ophthalmology. So matching into
Mm.
ophthalmology specialty, and yeah, that's the only reason why I went to medical school. I knew that that's the only thing I wanted to do.
That's a great one. Oh, that's a really good one. We work with
Yeah.
ophthalmologists at the hospital, and they got a good specialty, and the life gets pretty good after that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the way to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But tell us, yeah, how did you start? Where did like everything that you're doing currently, where did that kind of birth from?
Oh, but cool question. Yeah, it all birthed, I would say. So the determination, the kind of resilience and persistence, I would say, started basketball, growing up, training hours and hours, waking up early before high school and stuff. But I think just the like multiple pathways of trying everything and throwing on the board on top of school started. I
Mm.
graduated undergrad. That's 4 years. And then before I started dental school, I had 1 year gap, the gap year in between.
Okay.
And in that gap year, I was working two different lifeguard jobs, like a weekend day, 3 nights a week at the gym, get the free gym membership, right? I gotta get that workout in. And then during the day, 4 days a week, 4 or 5 days a week, I was assisting at an oral surgeon's office. So you got the pathway into dentistry, getting some experience, hands-on
Mm.
lifeguarding. I made a little bit more money, got the free gym membership. And lifeguarding's great because you could sit there all the time. I mean, let's be honest, guys, it was a 4 foot deep pool. No one's drowning. No one's like, put your feet down. You're going to be
Yeah.
okay. All right. Take a deep breath. Just stuff like that. So you could study there. I was reading books. I was listening to podcasts. I got introduced to Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast. That really kind of opened my
Nice.
eyes to, if you want to get more, if you want to be happy in life, you have to do what you actually love all the time, at
Mhm.
work and out of work. To get more time out of work, you need to, it really comes down to passive revenue. And to generate passive revenue, that comes down, do you want to do stocks? Do you want to do real estate? Do you want to start companies on the side? So really
Mhm.
understanding that further, and that's what takes work to get to. Um, that's really kind of branched out. I mean, I was reading a ton of books in the stock market. I was a ton of podcasts. I was music producing, just kind of exploring all avenues, getting your hands out there and getting some observation and experience. And like, what do you like to do? And then dental school started, and I was like, dentistry's cool, but it's a day-to-day thing. It's a not even 9 to 5 anymore. It's kind of getting manipulated. Dentists don't get paid what they did 30 years ago. In fact, I'm sorry, they do get paid the same amount they did 30 years ago,
But
but the
inflation, right?
money doesn't go as far. It's inflated now, right?
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is,
yeah.
it was mind-blowing. I'm like, oh, my dentist friends do good. And then they all sold COVID hit. They all sold their practices to DSOs, and it became very corporatized. So now I'm like, wait a minute, they don't make as much money, and now they're not even working for themselves. You want to go to the
Mhm.
kids' soccer practice? You work at your own practice. You're the one that makes that decision. I got to leave early today. If you're working for someone else, you can't necessarily make that decision. They might not give it to you. It's not your practice, it's theirs. So now I'm like, all right, now we got on top of dental school, on top of the residency, we need to make some moves to at least try and develop that lifestyle, that quality of life, that dream of freedom, free time, raising a family, be able to make decisions that affects the team for the team, whether it's me or them. So that's the goal. And whether it's side companies, whether it's the dental practice, the oral surgery office, uh, you just got to go for it. And a lot of things will fail over time. You just got to be persistent. You got to recognize the successes from what doesn't work, learn from it, build on it. I know I'm getting generalized here, but that's kind of where it all started from.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah, I think that's exactly the same way that we thought about it. Like,
Yeah.
what is funny that, yeah, I also just realized in dental school that all of that is kind of not what I thought before it would be. Like, my dad is a dentist, and I saw him working so much, like crazy. And in the end, I remember it was always the magic number of like 20,000 euros per month that dentists do in general in Europe. And I considered that like super rich. And during my studies, I looked around and I was like, wait a second, like who's driving all those cars? Because I know my dad, he's owning good, but he has 3 kids. He can't do that. Like it's not possible. And then when we dive deeper into everything, we met people who were much younger than us in countries that are much poorer, making much more money. I was like, yo, we have to do something. And
Yeah.
it's, I think, an interesting path, and you see more and more people in the medical field doing that. I mean, for example, most famous example, Ali Abdal. Like when he
Hmm.
started doing that, you know him?
Is he
He,
in Europe? The doctor in
the
Europe? You
UK.
took?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. He wrote the book. He does
yeah.
slideshare program. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he fully stopped working as a doctor. Like he just showed also that it's possible to do it next to medical school, because people always say, "Yeah, how do you guys manage? It's a bit strange." And people ask my family, like my parents, what is he doing? Like, is that even possible and stuff? But yeah, I think it's great and it's very inspirational. And I also, when I had a look at your content, that's something that I found really interesting. I was just talking with a Italian colleague today about it. You just create your content super organically and super authentic. Like you just use your iPhone, you just start talking, right?
Yeah, 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 you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all my colleagues make fun of me for it. I've had a tough time in residency getting made fun of and stuff, and like attendings not believing in social media because in healthcare it's very traditional. People don't believe in social media. And you
Yeah.
know what? I'm not trying to sell scrubs. I'm not trying to do I think I mean connecting with people. These are social media networks are connections. It's networking. And if you
Mhm.
give, you help people, you give, you do get in your return. And people know if you're a fraud. I think by this point I've been doing it for a few years now. I've had some good returns. And I'm not doing I want to gain attention to build companies. These companies allow us to have a better life in healthcare. That's it. There's no secret to it. I'm trying to look for the gaps in the industries, in the niches, in the specialties, whatever it may be. And I don't like the direction everything's going in. I really don't. You look around and a lot of doctors, dentists, lawyers, they're not happy.
Yeah, exactly.
What
I think
direction are we going in, guys? And that Dr. Ali, he's a perfect example, and he made it happen, but it took work and effort. And we got to make it happen, guys.
yeah.
I don't know where it's going to be in 50 years. At this direction, the trajectory we're going in healthcare, whether it's medicine or dentistry, um, I don't understand. I don't know enough much about it overseas where you guys are, but
Mhm.
if it's anything similar, it's exactly what you're saying. Like these younger dentists, where are they getting these cars to drive? What the hell is going on? Um, I think it should be much more available to the broader population. The general dentist should not be making pennies. The general
Yeah.
doctor should not be making pennies, and that's where we're at now. Everything's corporatized. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What,
And
what,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, please continue. I was gonna
Yeah, the
divert
thing
you.
that I also what is funny is that when we started with the marketing, our first client had been a professor of mine who was also just bashing about social media and stuff and marketing that is not working in like a course. And I was just talking to him because we were doing the YouTube about something completely different, but I was convinced that you can, if you just put the work, you educate the people, they trust you, they will become your patient. That's it. And after that, when we had like meetings with other dentists, I had like in 30 meetings, I had like 4 people that told me, do this, don't become a dentist because it's horrible nowadays. It had been one of the greatest professions, and I still believe that it's one of the best because there is no profession that is even similar. It's so unique and it's really great how it's currently. I think it's very hard. And if people don't wake up, I tell everyone, you will do social media in 10 years. Everyone will.
oh
As a
yeah,
dentist, especially, it's just your decision now to be one of the people who took advantage very early. That's it, I guess.
100%, 100%. And we need to get back to, these insurance companies don't reimburse what things cost, and patients can't afford things. There's a big disconnect, and then on the other side, it's like we need to make it the opportunity for ownership much more ready available. Corporate cannot be the only option. It needs to be a option. We need to have balanced option based on the dentists that are going out, what their interests are, whether they want to own their practice or just go into a 9 to 5 and go home, see their kids at the end of the day. And if they do want to do both, we need to make that information accessible. It's not in the schools. They don't teach you these things these days. So that's a lot of good reason why we're all making content here. But
Yeah,
yeah, anyway, so to keep going.
yeah.
Yeah, what is your stance? I mean, are you 100% anti-DSOs, anti-corporation, or what's kind of in terms of keeping the space healthy, what would you say is the best to move forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. Unfortunately, finances generally dictate the percentages. I don't
Mm,
know how we need to do it, but we need the general population of dentists and doctors to determine what's best. Dentistry in the United States was typically better previously because the ADA had a rule where a dental practice or practices it had to be owned by a dentist. You can own as many offices as you want, but it had to be owned by a dentist. Within the last 20 years, 15, 20 years, it became prevalent where these private equity, big bank, like almost like banks, right? Private equity, the investment banking companies, they are funding these practices to have them buy more and more. But then they say, but wait, we need to be part owner, yada yada. But that's allowing the business to come in, and the business comes in. I have friends in private equity. They come in and they lower like the spending margins where they're maximizing profits and
Mm,
the you know what I mean? And it's not like Amazon or Toys R Us, or you can't just buy a product and if it's so good you don't like it, you send it home. And it's people that you're working on, and it's people doing the work on those people. You
yeah.
can't just take everything from them, and that's kind of what's going on, and the people aren't recognizing it yet. You used to, if you own a practice, you get 50 to 55%, or 45 to 55%, whether you're a general dentist or a specialist, right? And now, if you work in corporate, you make 30%. That's a significant cut from 45,
Mm,
50 to 30.
yeah.
That's a big cut. Another 10, 15, 20 years, if you let private equity come and do all that, it's going to be down to 20 to 25, and it's just going to keep getting smaller and smaller. 2025 isn't going to pay back the loans that it costs to go to dental school for the average dental student. I was just put out a TikTok today. The statistic is in the United States, after 2022, more than 50% of the dental students that graduate have more than $250,000 of loans. So $250,000
Goodness
of
gracious
loans
me.
coming out of that. That's going to take 15 to up to 40, 50 years to pay back, depending on how your payment plans and whatnot. But why are we giving healthcare providers, putting them in a hole? You know why? Because the companies know it's going to make them more vulnerable to the numbers, that underlying number. We're going to give you a contract for X amount of numbers. And they're going to compare that to their loans. They're not on dry land,
Mm.
they're underwater. So I don't know. That's another thing we could go into, but I don't know. No, it's a great question, Joshua. We have to find out what's best based on the population, not based on the corporations, the private equity, the offices. We need to let the market determine what's best for itself. Some
Yeah.
people it's good for, and some
Yeah.
people it's
Yeah. I think
It's
anyway.
it's more so about that option of I mean the education part. Like you said, for some people it is good, depending on how they want to lead their lives, the kind of relationships that they want to have in terms of family life and everything like that as well. But more so dentists coming out of residency or out of dental school don't know of the particular options that they have, how that's going to affect them in the future as well. I think that
Yep.
would be
Yeah.
something awesome to add into residency. Not just for dentists, not just for medical professionals, but for those kind of jobs where, you come out and you are not just a lawyer or a doctor, but you are also going to be a business owner. And that
Yeah.
business aspect is not taught at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And that you don't have to be a business owner. You could partner with someone
True.
who is a business owner that's in dentistry,
Yeah.
or you could go to a place where they take care of all the business, the marketing, the staffing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
you could do it yourself. If you're interested in that, this A, B, and C, this is where you got to do, learn and go. Yeah, exactly. There's no
Yeah.
opportunity for that. It's a figure it
Yeah.
out on your own.
Yeah, exactly. I think more people just have to do it. Like, what's the name of the other dentist that is also in marketing? I forgot his name. We also had
Where from?
Instagram. We just have been in contact. I forgot his name, but I think you follow him as well. I just saw it when I followed you.
In
Um,
marketing, Pat the dentist.
could that actually it's not that important, but he posted a reel. I just don't want to claim his his information, but the thing is that he was talking about exactly that. He said instead of just revising to get like the
Mm,
best of class, you should actually learn about the business and spend your time doing that and just pass. That's what we did. We needed the money. That's the reason why we did it that way. But I had been at top of the class in the first 2 years, and as soon as we did something else, it just plummeted. I went like just passing the exams, but now I'm super happy. And all the people that I studied with when we graduated, they were like, "Bro, you are so lucky that I mean you had been in that situation that you guys
No, that
went."
you're not lucky. You made a decision and you went for it, and you got
It's
shunned in the
true.
beginning. I know how that works. When you stray from the path, stray from
Yeah,
the pack, you get shunned a little bit in the beginning. They start making fun of you. They start kind of like,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
yeah,
know. And then they end up happening unhappy, and they all wish that they followed you. That's how it works. Oh yeah, no,
yeah. Yeah,
that's
but I
tough.
think I think I think what is also important, what we talked about before, that we as doctors have to just claim back um, our field, and that it fell into the hands of the corporations. But I
Yeah.
think the solution, first of all, the market will always regulate itself. The only problem
Mhm.
that I see will just take a lot of time. But I see that a lot of people are so fed up with the corporations in any field. Like people,
Right?
yeah, I think so because also when we did the marketing for one clinic, I had people on the phone that were asking me, "Are you a small practice or is this like a big company?" And I was like, "No, it's very small. It's the husband and wife treating." And I thought it's a problem, and the person was like, "Oh, perfect. I'm glad to come because I don't want the other stuff because." Yeah, we all know how it is with those big chains in any
Mhm.
industry. It's a bit of a mess.
It is.
Yeah,
It
but
is.
I think that's where social media comes into play. Like the corporations have huge
100%. I
budgets.
mean, look at politics nowadays. I don't want to go into politics, but the fact that you can learn more about politics from the social media platforms, podcasting,
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, learning about things from the inside that I didn't even know existed until I listened to some
Yeah.
of his podcasts. You got Elon Musk who bought Twitter. I mean, some people are against that and stuff, but I definitely saw a change in Twitter,
Hmm.
and there's a lot more information that's less regulated and a lot more
Yeah.
truth coming out. I've been following Elon Musk since he bought it for 2 years now, and then all those conspiracy theories. I was like, look, I don't know. I don't know if I believe any of this. And then a lot of start things. The first thing that I noticed was when Joe Biden stepped down, I was like, holy smokes, they called this 2 years ago. And I was like, okay,
Mm,
okay, it happened, it worked. And now I'm like, wait a minute. And now I don't know what to think anymore. I don't know what to believe. And
mm,
everything's
Yeah,
hidden from us. So that being said, these educational systems, it's a path. They want us to follow the path. And that's good. You need to follow the path. That's how you get the degree. That's how you get the license to work. But exactly
yeah.
what you're saying. I think the key to it is the YouTube channel. Guys, we got to keep this going. And I think we need
Yeah.
to do, I don't know how we can find the time and get more of it, maybe utilizing AI, but we need to go all in on it and give more and connect with each other and talk about the issues and what the solutions that it is that we're finding. And that information will get out. And it might not be through the educational system, but through these external outlets together, we can educate and talk about options. What if
Hmm.
you guys, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, we find that hack to maximizing growth of a practice, the hack to maximizing time with family, whatever it may be, by communicating and talking on platforms. That's how we get it out, and others learn about it as well. You know,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And I
that's
think,
one huge benefit that we have of social media.
yeah,
That
how's your
can,
YouTube channel doing, guys?
the current one, like, I mean, this one we started recently.
yeah.
And we are not uploading too much because right now it was crazy. Like while graduating, we were just somehow making everything survive. Now, yeah, we will go all in from November. We will travel before a bit. Also, we will fly to New York, fly to Miami, meet up with some people, some dentists to just. That's one huge point for us. We just want to get to know the American culture even more, the people, because we decided to enter that market just because Europe, it's so small countries and languages are changing. It's a bit of a mess to work in that market. But yeah, that is the mission. And just to document, like I'm also just documenting my journey on my YouTube channel. Um, and yeah, I just want to inspire more people, and especially as a dentist also to not go down that traditional path of just working
Mm,
until you die. Just you just
Create a new
fall off
path.
the chair. Yeah,
Let's create a new one.
yeah, exactly,
exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
Awesome. Well,
yeah.
yeah.
What were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. So what else is new? What else is new? So you guys gonna come to New York? When is that?
Yeah, we'll be in New York
Um,
soon. I mean, I think it was
29th
probably
of, is it?
of next month we
Yeah,
will be.
October it is.
We'll be there until like for 2 days, I think. 29th and
Three, no, no,
30th.
4 days. Like we arrive
Oh, okay.
29th, then it's the 30th, 31st. And on the first, around the first, we haven't booked it in country flights. It's because they're apparently super cheap in the US. So we
Hmm.
will see. But like for 3, 4 days, we will be there. Yeah,
Oh, excellent. Yeah, we gotta connect, guys. We gotta
We
connect in
have
yeah,
to.
person.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Maybe we can do an episode 2 of this, like in
Yeah,
person. I think that would be an
yeah,
awesome thing to do.
Definitely part two.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's been super awesome getting to know you, for us to have a little bit more of a chat with some of I think the dentists who were watching this, and also those who haven't graduated. I think this was a great conversation starter and an eye opener for them, to see what else there is in terms of options, or maybe some things that information that they've been missing out on whilst they've been in dental school. Um, yeah, thank you so much for imparting your wisdom. There's loads of things that I learned as well, and loads of things that I will go away and have a look at and see maybe the differences between the market over there in the US and over here in Europe, because from where we're at, we don't get too much of an insight on how it works in the US. So it's been a
Mm.
real eye opener.
Yeah, but before we go, I got to get you guys on Instagram before
Yeah.
we go after whatever. But also tell me more about your guys' marketing. It's a company. You're doing SEO. You're doing.
No, so we're doing basically everything. So it really depends. We're kind of like, as David said, when we're speaking with, or when we help our dentists get patients, they're more so looking for a small, like not a DSO. They're looking for like a privately owned dental practice, and we see that's often the case in dentists that we interact with. Through our social media, we've gotten quite a few dentists who see the tips that we provide in terms of helping you get more reviews, or helping you, make your practice look much better, uh, giving you a better first impression as a practice. And people reach out to us and they're like, okay, can you help me out with marketing and social media, and yeah, social media is something that is our backbone. We've been doing it for the past 4 years or so. We built up a
Yeah.
lot of organic traffic. Our old business was just organic traffic, pure.
Yeah.
Why old? Why not continued?
That was the one before, where we basically help people to get into dental and med school. And
yeah,
the thing is that we were doing everything at the same time. And then my professor came and said, okay, can you guys help me with my clinic? And we were like,
yeah,
okay, let's do this. And we helped him, and we realized, wait, first of all, this is much more enjoyable because we are working with the professionals from our field instead of
yeah,
people who want to study, which is a whole different thing. Like, to work with people who want to study, it's a headache for sure, because I mean, it's just like that. And the second point was that it was connected to the country that we were studying in. Also, the YouTube became bigger than the company. So because we
yeah,
didn't just show the studies, because we said the studies are everywhere the same. To sit down in the library and tell someone, I will revise anatomy for 1 hour, like, who wants to hear that?
yeah,
So what we did, we just traveled and vlogged the lifestyle in that country, and it became its own thing, but it became too much. And when we worked with my professor, we said, wow, this is so enjoyable. This is really for the future, because we will graduate. We can, first of all, learn for our own practice that we might open one day. And second of all, we can really have a huge impact on just the field. And on top of that, privately, let's say, with your own brand, you can just, I don't know, you can reach more people, inspire more people if you build something that is also bigger.
yeah.
100%.
So at the end of the day, like, just to package what we do now, it's more so coming into a dental practice, figuring out what is their main bottleneck in terms of, at the end, it's going to be probably they want more money, or they want more patients, they want more freedom.
Yep.
How can we get them more patients, more probably higher paying patients? That's more full arch cases, uh, maybe more clear aligner cases. How can we get those, more of those, so that they can get to their goal, and they can actually start doing the things that they enjoy more?
Mm.
Most probably at the beginning, that would be more organic and paid advertising strategies. But
Right.
then that later on down the line turns into branding the practice as a whole on
Mm-hmm.
social media, especially if we're not starting that. Um, and that's the kind of pathway that we're looking at for majority of dentists, because social media is super important. And yes, you can run advertisements for your practice. And yes, that's a very, very lucrative way of getting patients in very, very quickly, especially for some of our newer practices who are, they've just finished. Well, they finished
Mm.
maybe 2, 3 years ago. They've been working at a big implant center. They bought their own practice. Let's flood them in with new patients. But at the end of the day, if you want your patient database to stay, if you want to be a staple name in your area, you've got to jump on social media.
Yep.
So
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's the pathway that we're looking at for everybody who kind of wants to come in, and it's just tweaking and seeing what works best for each practice, because every practice is different. The patient database is going to be very different. The areas, like you working in Manhattan, some of your patients are going to be completely different from somebody who's in, like Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah,
It's very, very different, and the way that you advertise to those people, it's going to be very, very different as well.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's fascinating because it's like a science, right? It's kind of like learning anatomy, learning the areas of the body. Is it the nervous
It is.
system?
Yeah.
Endocrine
Yeah,
system,
for
right?
us, yeah, we had to learn that like the hard way. Like we
Yeah.
were on these calls, and luckily we met a friend who's from Canada, and he at least could tell us, and he just took out Google Maps and like, guys, these people are like this. New York people, super straightforward. They seem rude, but they're not. They just straight into your face and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting journey. But yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation, to be honest. I think it's so far
Yeah.
my favorite episode. Because you're also kind of, let's say, on the same path as we are. Yeah, working as a dentist, but also you want to basically endeavor
We're gonna
on the
change the world.
entrepreneurial journey.
Next,
Yeah.
we definitely need a part two. The part two, let's go into maybe a little bit more of the intricacies, because I have two startups on the side we'll have to get to because we're coming down to the 7 o'clock meeting. The one is marketing, where we it's almost like a digital magazine. We have students of dentistry, elite dentists, top dental practices. We have lawyer pages and stuff. I actually branched further to Top Whiners Brews, and Top Whiners is my probably biggest page. But then I also have a second startup where we're doing marketing for the practice. That's very similar to what you guys are doing. You do the website revamp, you start to get them doing content, recordings, chop up clips, and then as well as advertising into the area. I would really like to dive into that. Let's go into strategies. Let's share ideas, thoughts, concepts.
100%.
Let's get into that for part two. Let's let this trail into that. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Let's do
for
that.
sure.
So, yeah, people are watching. You guys have that in mind, and you can look forward to that, because that's something that we'll jump into.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's do
Yeah,
that.
we will
And you know
see.
what? Yeah. I was gonna say, and a lot of people appreciate podcasts under 30 minutes, so we could even do a part three after that. Let's let the conversation.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds really good. Yeah.
Yeah, my data, just real quick, another tidbit. My data shows that after about 5 minutes, roughly like 50% have dropped off. And then the next 50% of what's left drop off around 15 minutes. And somewhere around 90 to 95% drop off after 30. So it's got to be under 30, preferably under 15, 20. I'm sure you guys have noticed too. But the data is really
100%.
important, because you got to feed the fish what they're looking for, right? And people
100%.
aren't fish. It's a fishing analogy. But all right, fellas. Can I get the recording, by the way?
Yes, you
100%.
can. This is why before sometimes we did podcasts and then change a shirt in between, and then you just put it out on a later date. That's it.
Yeah. And we'll do a part two. We'll put this out. All right, gentlemen. Good stuff. And congrats on graduating again. Thanks for touching base.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We'll wait a
All right,
year, and
guys.
then we'll congratulate you as well.
Oh, 9 months, guys. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Talk soon.
Talk soon. All of Dr. Gallagher's stuff with links will be down below inside the description as well, so you guys can check them out. Check out all of his links are going to be on his social media as well. So, yeah.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. Thanks. I'm going to get you on Instagram right
Thank
now.
you so much.
All right.
Cheers.